All right. So, this video is specific to the recent ruling by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals on the age of the right to keep and bear for personal protection. Okay, and like, why does this matter to you, Blaine? Because you're almost 40. I mean, you don't have a dog in this fight. I actually do, but we'll get to that. This actually has more to do with the situation of where these decisions completely negate themselves. Okay, so let's start off with the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals stated that people under the age of 21 do not have the right to have a personal protection firearm. And the argument that they made was that the Militia Acts of 1791 and 1793, respectively, state that the age of adulthood was set at 21, which is horseshit, by the way, and I'll walk you through that, but bear with me. And so those individuals were not allowed to purchase firearm. They could have it gifted to them. They could have somebody, they could go do a private sale transaction, but they can't go through an FFL for it. So herein lies the issue. Okay. The Militia Act of 1791 states that all able-bodied males, doesn't even say anything about white or black or citizen or otherwise. It says all able-bodied males between the ages of 16 and 65 must be armed and ready to stand to their duty of defense of the Commonwealth and to the common defense. Did you notice the age group there? 16, not 18, not 21, 16 through 65. Now we move forward to 1793, the ratification of the Militia Acts. There's no change in the age of adulthood, okay, which is also known as the age of consent. It's also known as the age of culpability. It's also known as the age of duty. So, getting into the weeds now. The same courts, the Fourth Circuit, the Ninth Circuit, the 11th Circuit, the Fifth Circuit, all these people, all these different courts, first through the 13th, all of these different circuit courts place the age of culpability at 16 years old, citing the Militia Acts as their foundation for that age of culpability. Now, what is the age of culpability? That means you can be charged with a heinous crime as an adult. Did you see what I did there? If you could be charged with a heinous crime as an adult at the age of 16, because that's part of the Militia Acts, then there too, the age of duty, the age of consent, like you can get married, the age of duty, being you can serve in the armed forces, all of this, 16, not 18, not 21, not 25, not 30, okay? You can't cherry pick the way that the law works when the law is pre-existing to what you have stated. So in the general understanding of everything, it's like, oh wait, hold up, that doesn't work here. If you could be charged with a crime, then you have to also therefore be capable of doing said crime. See what I'm saying? If you are not capable of purchasing a firearm till the age of 21, then you should not be able to be charged with a heinous crime, say assault with a deadly weapon, murder with a firearm, so on and so forth, till the age of 21. Because you can't have one without the other. This is not a 10 of one and 15 of the other. This is 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. It's the same damn thing. Okay? So, again, the militia acts that they cite for this, at the time, the reason why it was 16 through 65 was because actually most of our militiamen and our Minutemen were under the age of what was considered to be standard as adulthood, which was 18. And so the age of duty and the age of culpability, 16, not 18. This is where I say that the Fourth Circuit negotiated against their own standards. And they nullify their decision by doing that. Now, if we're going to say, okay, well, just like, now it's not all white males, it's not all males, it's actually women too, and, because of these other acts in the Constitution, then okay, then we have to say, then the standard increases, the age of consent, the age of culpability, the age of duty, the age of vote, all of this increases to the age of 18. You can't charge somebody who is 16 with an adult crime. You can't charge somebody who's 17 with an adult crime. And doing so negates your previous argument that the age of adulthood is 18. You see how this works? And the reason why I'm saying this is because I have several friends, mind you, friends, not partners or anything else like that, friends who are now becoming adults. You pass the age of 16, you can be charged as an adult with a crime. But you still can't purchase a firearm to protect yourself from said crime? Do you see how this does not work? You can serve in the armed forces at 18, but you can't serve in the armed forces at 16 without an emancipation document. This is my point. Either it's one or the other. This is how the law works. It's either one or the other. You can't have both. So in this, the question remains, why, therefore, does this decision stand? Excuse me for a second. All right. Sorry, where was I? Other than dealing with a dogfight. Yes, age of culpability. So, if the age of culpability is 16, then thereto the standard of adulthood is 16. Because all of that law, all of those pieces of law and legislation are all based off of the same previously existing law, which is the Militia Acts. So again, if the age of culpability is 16, then you must be an adult at 16. If the age of culpability is 18, then you are an adult at 18. If the age of adulthood is 18, then the age of culpability is also 18, as is the age of consent, as is the age of duty, again, forward and whatnot. Okay, this is for men and women, black and white, doesn't fucking matter. Do you see the forest for the trees now? Because this is a big deal. You cannot sit there and says, well, we're going to pick and choose what ages you can and can't. This is why it's such a big fight. We're going to pick and choose the ages you can and can't, specific to what our whimsy says. If that's the case, then what's to stop them from saying, well, you can't buy a pistol until you're 50? What's to stop them from saying you can't purchase a cannon until the age of 30? What's to stop them from saying you can't get married until you're 21? These questions are the reason why we have the standard. This is why that standard exists. This is why the age of culpability exists. This is why the age of consent exists. This is why the age of adulthood exists. Either it is or it isn't. There are no two ways about this. You don't go through this by just saying, okay, well, I can do this, but I can't do that. It doesn't work like that anymore. And it should have never worked like that. In fact, this is where most of the issues with our modern society have arisen. Because you could be charged as an adult at the age of 16, but you can't go purchase a firearm to protect yourself against said adult crimes until you are 21. That's 6 years later. Well, 5 years, but who's counting? That's 5 years where you could be murdered. Without defending yourself. The hypocrisy abounds. Are we a nonsensical people? Or are we set to logic and reason? Are we incapable of understanding basic logic and reason? Because if that's the case, then there's no point in a court. Because the court is supposed to base its reality on logic, reason, and previously existing law. So if we're doing it in logic and reason and previously existing law, then the age to be able to purchase a firearm for your own personal protection, according to the standards of the court, therefore must be 16 years of age, because the age of culpability is 16 years of age. See how this works? Now, I'm not saying that that's what our courts are actually doing right now. I think they're so full of hot air and dumbassery that they're going to do whatever they want. It's up to you, the people, we, the people, to say something. To put a kibosh on that shit. If you're not an adult till you're 18, you can't be charged with a crime till you're 18. And you must be allowed to purchase a firearm at the age of 18. You see how that all encompasses it, quickly and easily, and sets it to the malicious standard of the modern age, which is the exact standard that the courts are quoting. If, for that instance, the adult age is 21, then purchase of a firearm, the ability to vote, the force of draft, onwards and upwards and forwards. This all comes back to that same set of laws. This is what sets the standard of adulthood in the United States. This is why we cite 18 years of age as the adult standard. Because at the time, 16 years of age was the adult standard. Today, the adult standard is 18 years of age, which means that's where the age of culpability needs to land. That's where the age of consent needs to land. That's where the age of being able to purchase a handgun for your own personal protection needs to land. There's no way around this. If you're going to use a different standard, then you need to cite that standard as the reason. And then it no longer becomes a situation of the militia acts. But the militia acts themselves stated the age of 16 to 65. Not 18 to 65, not 21 to 65, or 21 to 80. No, 16 through 65. Because that was the majority of all militias. There were militiamen that were 14. There were militiamen that were 70 and 90. But the militia standard was 16 through 65. Because that was the majority of them. And this is where they utilize that reasoning. So if we're going to say that, we're utilizing that reasoning and then we're turning it around and we're not going to actually hold and adhere to that standard that we say we're using, then what validity does the decision have? In which case, if it's a nullified decision, it's not a decision. Regardless of whether it's a majority or a minority, the dissent holds sway. This is why you really need to pay attention to the language and the letter of the law. That's what's important here. Human beings don't write down a law and then enforce something else. Otherwise, there'd be mass confusion and stupidity anyways. That's why that's happening now. Because the courts themselves do not adhere to the letter of the law. This is how this works. You need to adhere to the letter of the law. If you're going to have one, you have to have it for the other. So, anyways, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Because apparently, I'm wrong. Even though I'm right. But I'm wrong. So what I'm saying doesn't have any this here or there, but it should, because it's the standard they use. The reason why I have so much of an issue with this is because when I was 18 years old, that's what I wanted to do, was get a pistol to protect myself, and I couldn't. So somebody threatened my dad right to my face. And rather than, I just got on my bicycle and rode away. Went to AA and ended up in a freaking for 72 hours. For them to turn around and say, no, he's sane. Didn't matter. Under drugs, they made me sign that freaking waiver bullshit, which is why I keep on turning around and saying, none of this is valid. None of their fucking bullshit is valid at all. None of it. And it has not been valid for at least 15 years, if not more, like 250. Because if you look at the reasoning they're using for this shit, there you go. So if you found this video informative or educational or entertaining in any way, go ahead and hit that one. If you don't like what the courts are doing, because it's a bunch of hoopla and bullshit, and they're basically nullifying their own decision, then the word of the day is that emoji. And go ahead and share this out with everybody you know, because they need to hear it too. And ladies and gentlemen, as a parting shot, I am Yeo Guardsmanah. And remember, fuck this shit, I'm out.